The New 52 was truly a divisive time within DC's history, mainly because when they rebooted into the New 52, they wanted to change everything, rework the entire universe from the ground up. And of course, there's a reason why it only lasted 5 years before getting rebooted once more. A majority of the readers didn't like some of the decisions that went along in the New 52, case in point, them pairing Wonder Woman and Superman up romantically, making them a couple instead of the traditional Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor, and Superman and Lois Lane. Though, dare I say, how it played out within the New 52, it's honestly not that bad and maybe even underrated as an entire storyline. So naturally, as you would expect, we do see Superman and Wonder Woman here together, flying above in the sky and whatever have you, though their relationship didn't start here. It actually started in another series, the main Justice League book at the time, issue number 12. Them initially bond and connect over the fact that they are different. Not just because they are superheroes, but more like the fact that they're almost divine or immortal in that sense, yet they're not. They're almost something in between. As Wonder Woman even says, they're not actual deities like Zeus and the rest of the Greek pantheon, even though, you know, they're pretty powerful and could even take some of them depending on the circumstances, but they're not just normal superheroes like Batman and the other heroes of Earth just like that. There's something in between. And of course, their relationship furthered from there. Back inside of the present though, Superman and Wonder Woman are just being heroes as they normally would be, going around and in this case, stopping a giant storm that is propped up. This is a time unlike any other. Wonder Woman is going to go save a plane that has got caught inside of the storm and save the civilians in there. Superman is going to go under and stop the storm from in the water. Though, as we're about to see, this is going to take an incredibly sharp left turn. As when Superman does make it in the water, he looks into the eye of the storm and almost sees some vortex, some energy portal swarming around and a being in the midst of it. And what exactly he sees even takes Superman for a pause, and we're going to see exactly why in a second, because believe me, it is pretty big. But back over with Wonder Woman, she's trying to stabilize the giant military plane crashing down and trying not to just absolutely wreck the thing and just bring it down slowly. That is until she looks up and sees something shooting out of the water at Mach speed, and it is none other than Superman just crashing through this entire ship. Because whatever happened down there, whatever attacked him in the water, it was so strong, so hard, that it just completely one-shotted and knocked Superman out. Now with the giant airship done and in wreck, she is forced to now fish out the pilots and grab them from, you know, certain death, while Superman eventually regains his consciousness and his footing and explains what happened, that there was something down there. He couldn't see it clearly, but it hit him and he just lost control. But for right now, the most important thing is getting the civilian lives out of here, and Superman is a better flyer, faster flyer than Wonder Woman, so she gives him the civilians so he can go fly them to safety, which as soon as Superman rockets out of there to put the people down, she is just then shot down out of the sky by another force intervening, which this is a separate entity from the thing on the water, but they are still opposing forces regardless. Though for now, we do move back over into a flashback, which is really interesting and really puts a dynamic on their current relationship, Superman and Wonder Woman's, as we see and find out a couple of things. One, them bonding out of their superhero identities of Superman and Wonder Woman, and just now Clark Kent and Diana Prince. We also find out that they are essentially hiding their relationship from the world, simply because having a high-profile relationship like theirs, you know, two of the most powerful people on the planet, that could definitely raise suspicions and just bring unwanted attention all around. Though while they are strong individually, they do share some differences in how they portray it, as Wonder Woman even goes on to say, "You're the most powerful being on the planet, or at least one of them." As she then pulls out her main weapon, her sword, and says that her brother Hephaestus made this for me. A sword strong enough and sharp enough to split an atom in two. It's a pretty powerful weapon. Though she isn't trying to brag or anything, she has a very specific point as she goes on to say that Clark is just like the sword. It doesn't matter how powerful the weapon is if you can't even hit anything with it, because as she swings at Superman, you know, Superman is able to just dodge and use his speed to avoid being hit. Meaning Superman, while extremely powerful, he is almost untrained. Now, yes, in the main continuity now anyway, Superman has learned from Batman, Wonder Woman here, for example, and even some other people, even mastering a few Kryptonian martial arts. Though regardless of it all, he always falls back on just being a giant brawler, if you will. And this is the exact point that Diana here is trying to say. Superman, Clark, is super strong, but he has never been trained to fight. Raw strength and raw power isn't everything. Her, on the other hand, she has studied under the actual God of War since she was just a child. Meaning, they have things that they can teach each other, which I think is a really cool dynamic with having Superman be with Wonder Woman or any other super powered individual, is that he can have moments like these, which is something that can't fully be explored with his relationship with Lois, which that's not really a negative per se, because he can still just be friends with Wonder Woman and have her train him, but you know, it is a strength in this sense. Cutting back over into the present now again, we find out why Wonder Woman was shot down. Essentially, another military vessel saw Superman just rocket through and destroy the airship, so of course they are thinking that the superheroes are attacking them, so though they needed to retaliate, which even though the optics of it all isn't the most flattering for the heroes, they were still in the wrong as Wonder Woman comes aboard now and destroys their artillery on their ship. As she goes on to say that, we're here trying to help you, which is actually kind of funny that she says that, because in a very few seconds, she's going to be the one needing all the help she can get, as then a giant thud is heard aboard the ship. Her, of course, immediately thinking, okay, well, Superman is back. He's a pretty fast flyer, but that couldn't be further from the truth, as it is just Doomsday finally aboard in the flesh after just ripping two men apart, holding the tops of their bodies discarded from the rest. Now, I do have to make mention and point that up to this point, Doomsday isn't a well-known figure in the DC universe, as this is an entirely new continuity. There is no death of Superman. You know, the Justice League and other heroes don't know how powerful and overwhelming of a force Doomsday is, and to essentially stay clear, because, you know, you're not beating him one-on-one, especially someone like Wonder Woman here. In her mind, she just thinks, okay, this is another monster. She has fought gods, monsters, demons all before, so this is another day and another villain to take down, as she charges forward and does just that. But she's going to be woefully unprepared and unready for this threat that is Doomsday, as he is just beating on her. The fight only lasted a couple hits so far, and Wonder Woman is looking horrible as she just continues to take hit after hit, thrown across the ship and destroying everything in its wake. She even goes on to think, focus Diana, get up, it's just a stupid beast. Everything has a weakness, which just goes to show you that she truly knows nothing of Doomsday, because if there is any weakness that Doomsday has, once it is used, he evolves and is never able to be used again in the same way. And he just continues the beat down as he just breaks both of her arms, her bleeding, and in a very bad situation. Like, truly, if this went on further, Wonder Woman would have straight up died here, completely at the mercy of Doomsday, as she even goes on to continue thinking, arms broken. But quickly think, Diana, your arms aren't your only weapons. Think, maybe try to fly, try to do anything. Though before Doomsday can make the final blow, two things happen at once. The same purple energies that were surrounding him inside the water before also come here and almost teleport him away, which is a big plot point, because Doomsday in this universe, this new 52 universe, has a few very special and new additions to his power set, which are really interesting. One, of course, being teleportation, as we see here. And secondly, Superman finally arrives back, lifting the entire ship out of the ocean, not knowing that Wonder Woman was almost beat to death by Doomsday. In which, again, even Superman barely knows Doomsday. Like, he knows he is a force to be reckoned with, he is very powerful, but he doesn't know the true ins and outs like other versions of Superman would, as once this is all over and Superman and Wonder Woman are off of the ship, Wonder Woman goes on to note that she has never been hit that hard, though she will be relatively fine soon, as she does heal quickly, thanks to her having divine blood. As again, like I said, everything is different here in the new 52. She here was the daughter of Zeus. Regardless, as she goes on to explain the events and the creature that attacked her, saying that he was huge, gray flesh, bone spikes growing all throughout his skin, and just overall savage and mindless. Superman realizing that, you know, the threat that she's explaining and describing might just be the worst thing that could have happened, as once he takes her back to the Fortress of Solitude, he uses the Phantom Zone projector to show her into the Phantom Zone and Doomsday himself, who at this point is a prisoner inside of the Phantom Zone, as he was put there by General Zod and his attack squad many years ago, who was also in the Phantom Zone as well. Diana even goes on to make notice of Clark and how he is so shaken up and concerned about this, which isn't because he has ever fought Doomsday in the present and knows how powerful and dangerous he is, but in this new 52 universe, Doomsday on Krypton was a folklore almost. I mean, yes, he was there in the present and actually fought Kryptonians and caused death and destruction there on their planet, but he was also a part of some prophecy, something that would bring death, destruction, and utter chaos to Krypton and its inhabitants. Clark continuing on saying that if he was able to get here into the real world from the Phantom Zone, that means the Phantom Zone may be weakening in its overall protections, and if he escapes again, he doesn't know if he is going to be able to stop or handle him. And if there's one thing you gotta give Wonder Woman, is she is just a ride or die. Like, she literally fought Doomsday and was overpowered instantly, both arms broken, her bleeding and on death's door. Yet she even says in a moment here, talking to Clark, I have fought warriors you would not believe, monsters, gods with powers to make worlds tremble. You make them all seem weak, not because of your overwhelming strength, because strength in this world is everywhere, but all of Superman's other qualities that come along with the strength that make him, well, Superman. So if they do have to fight Doomsday again, you will defeat him. You will beat him because of who you are. Clark, Kal-El, Superman, all one and the same. And because you will not fight him alone. And thankfully, Diana has some pretty well connections to the Greek pantheon, and specifically Hephaestus, who made her atom-splitting sword. So if they need weapons and other abilities to level up and power up, she knows exactly where they're going to go. Though that is something we're going to see next time as this video comes to a close. If you've enjoyed watching, leave a like or subscribe if you're new and want to see more content just like this. As always, this was AJ here at The Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.